I have no audio.
No, I had no audio. So let me start over again, guys. In case you couldn't read my lips. Good evening, everyone. Can you give me a 5x5, Val, if we're coming across now? I'll wait a few seconds. I see what was going wrong there. We had a little mute gate. Well, what's a show without a little mute gate, right? So hopefully we're going out now. I'll try that again. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Three Beer Men. I'm Cosmic Grandpa, and this is going to be a short show tonight. As the title says, after 2 shows in the last 7 days, we're going to take a break tonight from a full show while we kind of dial in and fine-tune some of those technical issues we had last time. We come back for the next show. We'll be new and improved, including a new Discord chat room to take your calls live. In the meantime, we just want to say hi to everyone out there tonight and let you know we're still going to be doing our regular weekly shows, even though we're taking a little hiatus tonight. Our fellow beer man, Bruce Wayne, Batman, is taking advantage of the break tonight to handle some other stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Norm to say hi to everyone in the chat and tell us, Norm, what you're drinking tonight.
Thank you. I'm drinking just a good old Dale's Pale Ale, Oscar Blues Brewing in Colorado. I'm not sure how widely available this is, if it's only available on the West Coast or if it's also available on the East Coast. But every once in a while, I just feel like drinking a beer out of a can, and I like the pale ales and the IPAs. So this is usually one of those go-to beers for that. So, and I'd like to say hi to Val out there, and thank you for being. I think you're one of our #1 fans because you're always here. And I'd like to say hi to Kitty, but we all know why she's here. So, and thank you for the 5x5, Val. And what are you drinking tonight, Cosmic Grandpa?
Well, I'm actually keeping it really simple tonight. I'm drinking a Penn Pilsner. That's a simple Vienna lager from, of course, Penn Brewery in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As I've mentioned in many shows before, I tend to have an affinity for Penn beer, but it's not because I'm advertising the beer or because I'm part owner of the brewery that it comes from, but because I get the beer for free.
Well, if you drink what you make, that says something too. That at least you consume your own product. It's if you because is anybody drinking out in the audience? Could we see in the chat maybe what people are drinking out there, or are you just kicking back and not drinking anything? Let's see. It's going to take a few minutes.
Might take a few seconds to get a little feedback.
Yeah.
Or it might very well be that Val is our principal viewer right now.
And I know Kitty's doing other things, so as well, just listening. Yeah, she's drinking her whiskey.
There you go. Well, if you're not out there, we missed you. You could be drinking with us.
Yeah, maybe put down in the comments if you're watching this on a replay or in YouTube. Yeah, put down in the comments what you're drinking tonight, and we'll see you down there. So, but we do have lots of big aspirations for this show, and so that's one of the reasons why we're taking this this time off to try to make sure that they go smoothly. So, as Cosmic Grandpa said, we're hopefully take some calls. Hopefully by the next time, and maybe even have a special guest or two, if possible. If we get
that's definitely in the plans. Guest beer men will fit very nicely in this window that we have here.
Yeah, because there might be there might be times where all three of us won't be able to do the show, and we might have to bring in a guest or two. So,
Yeah.
and stay tuned to find out who those are.
Yeah, absolutely. Val, you were watching the show last time. Is the audio better? I know we were having some pretty severe audio problems. There we go. Tom Skerritt. There's an idea. I like that.
Yeah, I wish. I don't know. Yeah.
Just watching the old MASH movie the other day. That was one of his better roles, I think, or I enjoyed it. Thank you, Val. Much appreciated.
Yeah, and Val's been here every time. He's not. He's like he said earlier. He's never left. He's been. I think the people in the chat right now on DLive have watched every single show, which is thank you guys. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're really we're excited by that. We are up to 67 followers on DLive, which isn't bad for two semi-start shows and tonight's beer break. That's not bad at all. And 19 followers on YouTube. We still have a little ways to go there on Twitch, guys.
And and if you guys have any suggestions for the show and you want to shout them out in the chat, I will try to go back and reread the chat after the shows and put the suggestions down in our show suggestions notes and see what we can do. But if you have any suggestions right now, other than even any guests you might think, if we can get them, that is. We're not sure. We might have to get a little bit bigger before we can get some of those bigger guests.
Yeah, Tom Skerritt might be pushing it, but we can try. Anyway.
I'll see if I can arrange that. I don't know. I'll ask around.
So for a lot of the other suggestions, I'll throw just a the Spuds. There's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
Thank you, Val. That they would be great guests. Absolutely.
Well, I'm planning on trying to get Duska on the show, so I'll make sure that it's not the same night.
No, absolutely, yes. Having Mrs. Spud on the same show, that would be a bad combination.
But yeah, I do have a connection with that since I am Duska's boyfriend.
Unless we want to do unless we want to do a Jerry Springer style show, but I don't know that'd be good. So I'll just tell a real quick story since you don't have any suggestions from the chats yet for subject material. The reason I'm a floating head tonight is because of Craig Mason. I was watching the show. I was watching his show last Wednesday after our show, where I had gone to all the trouble to put up a blue screen in place of my green screen so that I could wear a green shirt and a green hat for the show, and you'd be able to see the green shirt and the green hat, and it wouldn't be like I don't know, stupid green screen tricks. And then Craig comes on, and he's wearing his green jacket in front of his green screen. So I kind of kicked myself for not doing it on Wednesday, and figured I would do it tonight to be a little funny.
Yeah.
Claudia Black is a great suggestion. That would, as Londo Malari once said, "I've had considerable to drink tonight."
Yeah. But that's exactly why I try to avoid green screens altogether. It's because of stuff like what you're talking about, where I just try to get like a natural studio set. But I might have a green screen sometime in the future, depending on how well the show goes.
Yeah, I was kind of the other way. We put the show together in such a hurry that I kind of didn't really have the time or inclination to put together a studio per se. So I had the stuff to do the green screen. I would mention to the folks out there who might be watching, this show came about in the course of less than 2 weeks. It's been, it was a week on Thursday when we first talked about launching this show. And prior to that, I had never actually spoken to Norm. I knew Norm from his frequent call-ins on Joey's show.
Yeah.
And I knew he was a great screen personality, but had never talked to him or met him or even contemplated the idea of doing a show like this until we got to chatting that evening on Joey's show.
I knew you kind of homebrewed, but I didn't know your whole history about beer. I'm not sure if you knew my whole history about the beer blogging either, that I used to do. So,
well, that's a funny story. I didn't know that I knew about it because you didn't have your full beard at the time. So I honestly didn't realize that it was you that I was watching. But I stumbled across your channel probably 5 or 6 or maybe even more than that years ago because I was just looking for random viewers. Here's TL Spud. Welcome to the conversation. We was just talking about you, man. We got to have you on the show.
Yeah, Val was just suggesting that we have you on the show sometime.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we have to offset the night that we plan to have Duska on the show, though, because
yes,
we do have a plan to have her on the show as well.
Yeah. So no, we're just telling a few stories here. This is kind of an informal beer break. The show originally wasn't even meant to run this long. We were originally just planning to come on for a few minutes, say hi to everyone, make sure you guys knew that we were going to be doing a show every week, even though we were taking a little break tonight after 2 shows in 1 week, and a few inconsiderable technical issues. TL, are you getting decent audio? I know we had problems with the last show, so just want to check and make sure everybody listening is finally hearing us for a change. I should say me. Truth is, Norm's audio has always been good. Mine's been the mess.
And yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for sitting through the last show, throughout all the audio problems or any of All right, cool. We got a 5x5.
Cool. Thanks, Tio. Yeah, so I was just telling a story about how I ended up green screen tonight to make up for Wednesday's show when I wanted to wear green and or wanted to go green in front of the green screen. I thought, it might be a little silly. And then Craig.
He's making fun of Craig. Yeah, he's making fun of Craig. So
I was just finishing up saying until a week and a half ago, roughly, Norm and I had never really talked before, and this idea just came about. And I think Norm was telling us a little bit about. I was telling the funny story about how I stumbled across your beer blog page because YouTube recommended the video to me, and it was your review of Genesee Cream Ale.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and I did, like I said, I wouldn't have recognized you from the video, but when you said about the channel and I went back and looked at it, that was the very first thing that popped up for me because I watched that video.
The Jenny beer.
Yeah, Jenny Cream, and that's because that was a beer that I had when I was I shouldn't admit it, but probably younger than I should have been drinking beer.
And I had somebody actually had to send me that beer from the East Coast when I did that, and they wanted me to review it because that was a sort of the same nostalgic reasons because it was very nostalgic for them, and I remember that one very clearly because I remember the whole conversation with the person that actually asked me to do that and sent me the beer. So I was surprised to see it on your show because your
on the other side of the country, and Jenny doesn't ship that far. Jenny's out of Rochester, New York. I've actually been to the factory and toured it.
Yeah.
When they don't ship that far west.
When I was doing that show, I had people ship me beers just so I can. People wanted to know my opinion of them, and that was one of the great things about doing that show, where I got to explore all sorts of beers. So
Nice.
I'm not even sure if you guys get like Pales Ale Ale out there. Have you ever heard of Oscar Blues Brewing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We can surprisingly we can get Oscar Brewing here. Hey, Casey just joined the chat. Casey82, welcome to the chat.
Hey, how you doing, Casey?
We're just chilling tonight.
Yeah, we're just yeah, he's a floating head. We already said that story a couple of times. So
yeah, thank Craig Mason and go back and watch the replay and the good story. Hey, there's Mr. Anderson.
Hey, Mr. Anderson. He's in your neck of the woods too. He's right in your neighborhood over there. So
nice.
Yeah. Hope your email is working. Last time during the show, he's trying to call me or right before the show, he's trying to call me, get his email working. So
nice. Yeah. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm glad you guys jumped in. Thanks for coming and watching us. This is just kind of a chill out and relaxed show tonight. We're taking a bit of a beer break after 2 shows this week and working on some of the technical issues we've had before. The floating head is a technical issue. Just blame it on that.
It's sort of an intentional technical issue. Kind of an inside joke in between Cosmic Grandpa and Craig Mason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, anything anyone wants to cover before we sign off? Like I said, I hadn't originally thought the show tonight was going to run this long. I'm sure.
Yeah, let's ask all the new people what they're drinking, and
yeah, that's right. You guys missed the What Are We Drinking Tonight show or segment. So those of you who just joined us, let us know what you're drinking tonight.
So yeah, ICTL is what's he drinking? Wait, I'm trying to. I lost it now. I just had it here.
I would be worried about trying to pronounce it correctly. Hey, there's Willie Fitchett over on YouTube. Hey there, Willie.
Oh yeah, my YouTube for some reason the computer that's doing my that I'm viewing the YouTube on keeps on freaking out and going into other screens. I don't know why. Oh yeah, he's drinking an ice cold beer. All right, Willie.
That's what matters. Hard Knocks, PhD, and IPA. All right.
All right.
We like that. Val, I see up there. I love my moonshine. I love watching those moonshiners anyway. I don't know if the show actually represents anything, but it's a funny show to watch.
Yeah, and I see Mr. Anderson's drinking Sam Adams Cold Snap. Nice. Haven't had that one yet. I probably did and don't remember. I've had the original, but not. I don't.
No, I was going to say Sam Adams, the original craft beer, but I tend to say that because before a lot of craft beers were being brewed, way back in the 1990, 1991, Sam was a thing just starting to become a thing. And in the little town that I lived in, there were no bars that served it. And so I was the guy who managed to convince the bartender at the bar that I went to every night to get a case of it in. And he was the first bar in town to have it. And it sold out like the first night. And that was it. Literally, it was in every bar in town within a few weeks.
Yeah, see over here. I think it was Sierra Nevada. Maybe if I move up my camera, I have a Sierra Nevada sign over there. Sierra Nevada, back in the early to mid 80s in Northern California, where I grew up, was like one of the first craft beers. So I think maybe on the East Coast, maybe it was, and that was actually one of the beers that got me into enjoying the taste of beer, because, like, when you're younger, like a teenager, when you're not supposed to drink it, you tend to drink it for the effect and try to get rid of it as fast as you can, because you're not really supposed to have it. But when you become of drinking age, then some people, like when I went to college, forgot the fact that you could actually sit and enjoy a beer. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing my beer blogs in the first place, is for the appreciation of the taste of beer. And Sierra Nevada was actually one of the first beers, their pale ale was one of the first beers that I learned, hey, this stuff has a taste and is flavorful, as well as giving you an effect. But you don't have to take such a fast train to get to that effect. And so, yeah, but that's my story about my first craft beer experience. I believe you can get that over there now too.
Yeah, that one we can. It's interesting that my first direct local craft beer experience, I should say, came also in the early 90s, when my wife and I first met, and we started going to a particular bar that sold a local brew called Penn Pilsner, which happens to be this beer right here. That was in 1992, roughly, and we started drinking that beer as our craft go-to beer. And by a completely wild set of circumstances that I will tell in detail in another show, hopefully when we have a few more viewers than we do now, I ended up owning that brewery. So that's our craft beer story.
And we kind of talked about that, off show a little bit. But I'm really interested in hearing that whole story as well, because that sounds fascinating to me. I'm really curious.
Deepak has joined the chat. Deepak Shakur, and she's drinking Penn too. What a coincidence!
Yeah. So we got. I think we might have. We have 12 people watching, which is pretty good for kind of.
Hard Knocks PhD. That's a very good comment. All of those first craft beers, almost all of them, I'll tell you one that hasn't, have been commercialized. Sam Adams is very commercial nowadays. It's certainly not a craft brewery anymore. And but one of the breweries that started in 1986 was Penn Brewery. So when we were drinking the Penn beers in 1992, that was from a brewery that had only been around for 6 years at that time. But in 1986, it was one of the first craft breweries in Pennsylvania. Straub's and well, Yuengling is a different story because they've been around for a much longer time. But there are a couple of other beers that started roughly around the same time, and so did Sam Adams. They all started right around the same time.
Yeah, and as far as I know, Sierra Nevada is still owned by the same family that started it, which they have other breweries around the country, not that only their original in Chico, but as far as I know, the family still runs it. So they haven't been bought out by a big corporation. Like, let's say the shirt I'm wearing right now It's from a beer called what is this beer called? I remember when they Golden Road, which is out of Los Angeles, which Meg from Oscar Blues left Oscar Blues to help start Golden Road with a guy named Tony, which he owns a beer bar right around the corner from me, not too far around the corner, and to start Golden Road. But then after they got pretty successful right within the first couple of years, and then they sold out to Anheuser-Busch. And now Anheuser-Busch owns them. Not like when I bought this shirt where they were still kind of independently owned, which is kind of interesting. That Anheuser-Busch just seems once they seem to swoop up all or Miller Coors seem to swoop up all these smaller beer companies.
Exactly. Yeah. AB InBev, Miller Coors. There are really only 3 or 4 major beer companies left now. But there are still a lot of independent craft breweries out there. Penn is still independent. We're not owned by anybody else.
And as far as I know, like I said, Sierra Nevada is still family owned. There's Stone Brewery out here in San Diego. They're still owned by, as far as I know, they're still independently owned, which is fairly a big craft brewery. So there are like still a handful of them that haven't really sold out, but they have also opened up breweries around the country. So that's very very interesting.
Brought up a couple things. First of which was Bud owned by New Belgium. No, I don't think so, but New Belgium may very well be owned by Anheuser AB InBev at this point. I don't really know.
I'm not sure if they got bought. I'm not sure if they're independent or not. They're out of Colorado, and I haven't followed them in a while. They could be owned by like a Boston Beer Company, like Sam Adams, but I know there was another Los Angeles brewery that got bought by Magic Hat that their parent company is Boston. So and that's what beer? It's another one out of Los Angeles in downtown LA. I can't think of the name right now. So
yeah, I toured the New Belgium a couple years ago. Back in it was a couple years back. I end up out in Colorado every couple years because our brewery participates in the Great American Beer Festival. So we send beers in every year, and we've gold medaled. As a matter of fact, the Penn Gold that I was drinking on the last show, it was actually gold medaled last in 2018 or 19. We got 2 gold medals, gold medal in the Great American Beer Festival and gold medal in the World Beer Cup for that beer. And that's pretty prestigious for, a local brewery in Pittsburgh. Hey, Mr. Anderson, there's your Penn Pilsner right there, friend.
Yeah, like I said, he's in your neck of the woods, so he's be on my old beer expeditions quite a bit back in the day. So he's done quite a few with me when he lived out here in LA.
If you want to stop by the brewery at some point and toast the first ones on me, for sure.
I'm pretty sure he's going to take you up on that.
All right. Well, we can do that. Meanwhile, I will mention to the folks out there that one of the shows that we will be doing coming up in the foreseeable future will expound on this background that you all see behind me here of the beer caves, the barrels and the caves. I have some video that goes along with this. That little helmet cam that you can kind of just barely see in the bottom of the picture was at the time that video was shot attached to a hard hat on my head. So it'll be from my first person perspective that I'll take you guys on a tour of how beer was lagered 160 plus years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait for that one because you've talked about that a little bit. We talked about that a little bit offline, and I can't wait for that one.
Yes, Val. Yes, we'll be chasing the ghosts in there too. Yes, you'll see how how interesting it is.
It'd be
Okay,
like the ghost hunters.
what's mead? Okay, so we're just mead is brewed essentially the same way that beer is, except instead of using a grain like barley, you use honey as the source of the sugar that the yeast is going to ferment and turn into the beer per se. I have a very good
expensive. It's very expensive to make right now. I've made a mead before, right before the honey prices went way up. But a good,
exactly. One of our former brewers that shows up in the Malt Minute video series that I've referred to once in a while on YouTube is now running his own meadery. That's what it's called, meadery. And he makes mead, and almost all of his meads, from the time he puts one in until the time he is able to serve that mead, take about a year. Whereas a batch of beer, I could put that in and get that out anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks later.
Yeah. I've made a mead once before, but I like my meads really thick, and they're very expensive to make.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, the raw ingredients, the honey is expensive. Not to mention the length of time that it takes to make a good mead, as opposed to even lagering a really good beer. 2 months is more than enough time, where a year is not unusual for me. So, Willie, I hope that answers your question.
And it's what monks used to live off of when they fasted too.
Yeah. Oh, we could tell some good trivia on that. We'll have to pick that up.
Yeah.
For Pooh Bears, Val Kimber says. That's another. I'll bring up a couple pictures on one of the future shows. A little trivia story at our brewery. A few years back, we had an infestation in one of the walls of the building that the brewery lives in of honeybees. And that's actually a good thing. It started to get to the point where it upset the tenants because the bees were starting to fly around near the entrances and so forth. So we were forced to deal with it. So we had a professional beekeeping company come in and take the hive out, not an extermination company, an actual beekeeping moving company come in and lure the queen out and actually transplant the hive, which still exists today. But inside the wall, when we took down the brick wall to clean out the rest of the remnants of the hive, we ended up getting out about 30 pounds of honey. And we ended up making beer out of it. So just a little story there. We don't let it waste.
Or mead, right? Not beer.
Mead. We actually made beer. We used it to make a special beer, a special batch of.
Was it a honey wheat beer or?
I think it was something along those lines. It was a honey and something. It wouldn't surprise me if the brewers used wheat, because we do brew a decent Hefeweizen.
Yeah, Val is craving mead now.
Nice. Well,
yeah. This show, see, and this is another thing about the connection that me and Cosmic Grandpa had. Like we said, we haven't talked before. When was it? 2 weeks ago or so? But
not quite two.
Yeah, but we can talk about this stuff all day. And then you guys probably go to sleep if we talk about our tech stuff, but we might go into that on some future shows too.
Oh yeah, we'll get some stuff in there. We'll maybe on one of these shows we'll review. I don't know. We'll take suggestions in the chat. My thought was we start with E.T. the video game for Atari.
Yeah, does anybody know where the landfill is, where they put most of those games?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they had the landfill with the Atari ET out quite a few years back, 5-6 years back. I can dig that story up sometime. They dug those out, and those are kind of collector's pieces. But I do have a running copy, so of ET.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll play it on time.
And my thought, I did play that game online, and I remember playing Pitfall, and it was almost like Pitfall, wasn't it? Or it was dubbed the worst Atari game ever. It was ET, and I played a lot of Atari games that were much worse than that. So I didn't agree with that.
Yeah, it was kind of like Pitfall, only falling into the pit and not being able to get out again.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice KC82 original PlayStation. Yeah, we have a wing of the museum that I co-curate that's dedicated to old video games. Goes all the way back to the original Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. Talks about how Pong actually came after the home video version of Pong, which is a little bit of trivia a lot of people don't know.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
The one with the that's all it was Pong with the controllers.
Yeah.
So that goes way back for me. Basic programming is one of my favorite Atari games because I learned how to sort of do basic programming with it too.
Yeah, that's really interesting because we in the main wing of the museum where we show off older computer systems from the 1970s, the only video game that we have in that wing is an Atari, and the only reason that we show it in that wing is because of being able to program in BASIC on it. And the reason why we show that is because that's how I learned to program in BASIC too.
Yeah, the special keypad controllers where you didn't use the joystick; you had a keypad controller.
Yes, we show that off in the museum. We actually have one of those up and running. So we'll have to bring some pictures. Bring some pictures to the show at some time. Deepak just said, "Don't forget Coleco." Yeah, Coleco. She had my childhood Coleco, so that should be saying something.
So yeah. Okay, see, you're just young.
Oh, there's Willie showing off again. COBOL Fortran Basic Pascal. All the winners.
COBOL, yep. Yeah, did you do the punch card thing with the
Yeah. Not only did I do that in college, but we have one of those in the museum now. So we can punch cards. You can take a punch card home with you with your name on it if you come visit.
So yeah. And so in programming, a 1 is on, a 0 is off. You could do the same thing with a punch card where a punch is off and a non-punch is on.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how they work. That's exactly how they work. If there's a hole there, it's on. If there's not a hole there, it's off.
Or as a friend of mine used to say, a programmer friend used to say, he never said off. He said not on. Because
Interesting.
He didn't believe in off.
Yeah. The only thing about punch cards is when you get a hanging Chad, but we won't go there.
You only have to worry about that if you're in Florida.
Exactly. They only happen in Florida.
And you voted for somebody or another. We won't go there.
Yeah. Non-political show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Non-political.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're still hanging on to 11 viewers, and we are 8 minutes from Zoso's show.
Yeah,
And he's got a huge ship tonight because he's sailing with Joey Mormon as co-captain.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that. But we wouldn't even have hung on this long if it wasn't for a great chat here.
Yeah,
you guys are wonderful.
Yeah, shout out to everyone. Shout out to TL. Shout out to Mr. Anderson, Deepak, Val, Willie, KC82. We love y'all. It is fantastic. We hope this show gives you an idea that it's going to get smoother every time. We'll have a little more fun every time.
And I think we're going to have to dedicate at least half the show for just talking to the chat because this has been very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of the show, for those of you who didn't see it, one of the things that we're fine-tuning in to the show going forward is a Discord chat room. So you guys will be able to call in. You can do voice only if you want. You can be on the screen with the three of us. We got room for a fourth one in the corner anytime, and look forward to having you on having visitors on the show.
Yeah, and I think we were too ambitious with our first show. Our endeavors were much higher than we thought for a little over a week to prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. Blame it on me, Norm. You did a great job putting together the slides and the questions and answers, and the trivia stuff was good. But we just didn't have our tech worked out quite smooth enough on the scene transitions and the audio back and forth and everything to pull off a show like that on our second show. But it wasn't worth.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't any of our faults. I think we're just a little too. A little too. We shot a little too high for trying to get this. We make a great team.
Craig and Frank make it look too easy.
Yeah, exactly. Blame it on Craig.
Exactly. And Deepak, it was an Apple IIe, yes. So KC82, you had the first computer you used was the same first computer that my daughter used, which would have been just about that time, around 1982-ish or 3-ish, thereabouts.
Yeah, so I think we got a great core bunch of watchers here, and I think we all make a great team.
Yeah, I do too. And I hope all of you out in the chats will let your friends and other people in the chats know that tonight's show was more watchable. At least I hope you guys think it was more watchable. And we're getting our tech issues ironed out, and that you'll all come and join us next, tentatively Sunday this time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. That's what we're shooting for right now, right, Norm?
I think so. I'm not getting my expectations up for any particular time, but I'm free. I'm keeping my schedule in pencil right now, so I can change it anytime.
All right, folks. Well, I think we'll let you guys all go tonight. I don't see anybody new to shout out to. I think we did our shout outs. Just realized that I can't release the lemons. Oh boy. I was all excited to release the lemons, and I'm in DLive as the wrong person. So lemons will wait.
I'm in DLive as the wrong person too. We need to get that worked out, but we will on the next show. And I'd like to thank Deepak Shakur for the donations and TL. So for the donations that they had put in there.
We very much appreciate that. I just now saw that. Boy, I got to get better at watching the chats here.
Yep. So, yeah. So, we just got one from Willie Fix It too.
There we go. Can we release the Kraken? That's going to take some technical work. We'll have to work on that one, TL.
Yeah, we're still talking to Jason the Argonauts about that.
Nice. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks, TL. Thanks, Deepak. Thanks, Val. Thanks, KC. Thanks, Willie. Thanks, everyone. We're going to bow out and let you guys get a quick refill before the ship sails in 3 minutes with Zoso and Joey Mormon.
Yeah, and you can find all of us on Zoso's beginning reel with our. Yeah, we got a. Well, maybe let's try to get Zozo on the show, and we can all wear our mystery ship shirts.
Absolutely. Zoso is definitely a hopeful featured guest.
All right, cool.
Good night, everyone.
Joey just joined. Howdy, Joey.
Wow. Okay, Joey Mormon is in the house. Fantastic.
Are you going over to Zozo's show?
Yeah, we were just headed out to Zoso's show.
And we were just talking.
To be there. So we'll see you on the ship, Joey.
Yeah, and we'll try to get you on the show too, if you will agree.
Love to have you.
All right. Great.
Good night and stay safe and God bless.